Distorted Fate, written by Sylvac. Chapter 25, Gift. Just imagine the actions you wish the broom to take. Remember the exact sequence of movements needed as you cast, and you cast it before I can finish my explanation. Twilight said as I cast a spell on a broom. As my silver aura surrounded it, we watched as it picked itself up and started to sweep the floor. Looks like you have the come to life spell or maybe you don't. Twilight said as the broom moved over to a bookcase where it ended up repetitively hitting it until Twilight cancelled out the spell.
Well, it is progress still,
I said as I gave her a shrug. It's been 3 weeks since the math prodigy party, a stretch of time that was mostly uneventful with a couple exceptions. At one point, Pinky suddenly went on some trip with the Apple family for a day. Upon her return, I learned that she could be a distant relative of the Apple family. A few days after that, Pinky and her friends went to some place called Rainbow Falls to give both Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy moral support as they attempted to qualify as part of some team for something called the Equestria Games. I also learned that the Crusaders were going to be flag bearers for Ponyville. I learned the town's name a couple of weeks ago. Though since I wasn't there for the tryout, I couldn't be a part of their demonstration, which for me meant a one-day reprieve from their crusading. On the topic of their crusading, it didn't take long for me to find a loophole in the promise I had to make. I promised not to show them how to do the kind of stuff I know, so I just ended up explaining it to them instead. Though I insisted on keeping our distance from Applejack if they wanted to try some of my ideas. It was amusing to watch them try rappelling, even though it was just down a small cliff that was nearby. Sweetie Belle was too scared to even try going down the cliff as I watched from the bottom of it. It seemed that my cliff climbing incident was still on her mind. Scootaloo, on the other hand, was too enthusiastic about it, for she rappelled down so fast that it caused her rope to come loose. The good news was she didn't get hurt from the fall since she landed on something soft. The bad news was that I was that soft something. My back ached for days afterwards, though that gave me the excuse to cut back on the extreme stuff they wanted to try. The time I wasn't spending with the Crusaders, I was spending with Twilight as I learned more magic as I gave her more words to nerd out on. She finally was getting some sleep, but that didn't stop her excitement whenever she learned a new word from me. She was also amazed at how quickly I was picking up on her lessons, for it only took me a few more days to get a handle on levitation, and the past 2 weeks for me to master the basics of transmutation. While the concept of being able to turn an object into a completely different object was awe-inspiring to me, so far I was only able to turn peas into grapes. Now, Twilight believed that I should move on to another spell to broaden my understanding of the nature of magic, which it believed would only improve my spellcasting in the long run.
You do have a point there. I'm surprised that you were able to cast the basics of the spell, though it does need refinement. You seem to have a knack for magic, though it doesn't seem to be your special talent, which is odd.
Twilight said as she rubbed a hoof against her chin.
How is that odd?
I asked, curious about what she meant as my eyes momentarily drifted towards the door that I was told led to her lab. While I knew that with the shard's unique properties in regards to magic that Twilight hinted at, there was no way I could steal them and simply replace them with fakes. However, I was still interested in her research into the shards, and even though I had an opportunity to break into the library when she was at Rainbow Falls, my reading was still below the average filly's, so there was no chance that I could even read her notes, much less figure out which one of them would be about the shards.
Well, normally unicorns learn magic that is related to what their special talent is going to be, though your rapid advancement in magic of 2 different kinds points to a talent related to magic. Normally, ponies that advance in the fields of magic with ease typically earn their cutie marks that show their connection to magic.
If that is the case, why don't I have a cutie mark then? Though I wish they called it something less ridiculous than that. I thought being able to adapt to many situations was giving me an edge, but if she is right... I thought before an idea crossed my mind.
Maybe my special talent is using magic for something, like I have to use my magic to do some job that magic would be very useful in.
I asked.
That's an interesting theory. You might be onto the right path there. Maybe if you used your magic in everyday situations, you might stumble across your special talent, or if you are unable to cast a specific spell, it might hint at what your special talent shouldn't be related to.
Twilight said as I nodded my head in agreement.
Right, so I might as well continue to practice.
I said as I concentrated on the broom again, till a purple hoof blocked my vision. Looking back at Twilight, I saw that she was grinning sheepishly, which already hinted to me about what she wanted.
Ugh, just give me a quill in your notepad so I can give you another word.
I moaned. The rest of the magic lesson went smoothly as I continued to practice the come to life spell while Twilight practiced the new set of words that I gave her. After a few more failures, I finally managed to get the broom to sweep a portion of the floor correctly, at which point Twilight said,
Alright, Aether, I think that's enough for today. Huh? That did not last as long as normal. Well, I have to end the lesson early today. I'm preparing to spend tomorrow with a pony that I haven't seen for some time. Oh, you are sure that you do not want to continue? I still have many words to teach you. I could teach you a few extra if we continue.
I said slyly, using Twilight's thirst for knowledge against her. I watched her bite her lip in thought before she shook her head and said,
No, I really need to start getting ready for tomorrow. We can pick up the next day though, Aether. In the meantime, maybe you should work on learning contractions. You're advancing fairly well with Equestrian, but you have yet to use them. As you say, language barriers. I will learn in time though. Anyway, goodbye, Twilight.
I said as I gave her away, with her returning her own goodbye while I left the library. As I walked down the street pondering what I should do for the rest of the day, I spotted a poster that drew my eye. Stopping for a moment, I saw that a rather old-looking unicorn with some kind of silly hat on was shown on the center of the poster, with the words "Stars World the Bearded" below it, along with a mess of other words that I didn't feel like reading. Stars World the Bearded. What a silly name for anyone to have. These ponies and their names will never fail to amuse me. I wonder though, what would he call himself if someone shaved his beard? I thought to myself before I resumed on my way until a familiar voice called out to me.
Why hello there, Aether. Fancy seeing you here at this time of day.
Rarity said as she came over to me with some saddlebags on her. Sighing to myself, I stopped to turn towards her as I asked,
Hi there, Rarity. Is there something you need?
While Sweetie Belle and Rarity were sisters, I was still trying my best to avoid the mare, for I didn't want to go through yet another gaudy dress tryout spree, and up until now I was successful at avoiding her.
Why yes, I was hoping to meet you today, for I finished making a scarf for you. Forgive me for taking so long, though I was preoccupied with some words that just couldn't wait. I also wanted to make sure that it would not only look fabulous on you, but that it would suit your tastes in fashion. I'm sure you will love this scarf I made for you.
Rarity answered as she levitated a box out of her saddlebags. Giving another exasperated sigh, I grabbed the box with my own magic, levitating it over to me before lifting up the lid. Instead of another frilly article of clothing, I instead beheld the sight of a dark blue scarf with thin streaks of light blue running through it, the scarf having silver tassels at its ends. I actually let out a gasp of surprise, for this was something that I would actually be okay with wearing publicly.
I take it that you find the scarf to your liking,
Rarity asked as a smile started to appear on her face. I bit my lip for a moment before I finally admitted,
Yes, I actually like the scarf. I'm delighted to hear that. How about you try it on?
Rarity asked, to which I gave her a flat stare before I finally let out a huff as I wrapped the scarf around my neck.
Why, you look fantastic with that scarf, dear.
As much as I would hate to admit it to the fashion-loving mare, the scarf did look nice on me, and it actually had a smooth, soft texture to it. It was certainly far above the usual kind of clothing I had to wear before I came to this dimension.
Thank you, Rarity. It does look nice on me.
I then suddenly realized something. I had nothing to repay her for this scarf beyond the few bits I get from Pinky and the cakes as an allowance.
I do not have much to pay you back. Why, dear, you don't have to worry about that. The scarf is a gift from me. Really? Wow. That is very nice of you to do, Rarity.
I replied as I cracked a small smile of gratitude at her.
The pleasure is all mine, dear, though I still would love to make a dress for you to wear.
I bit my lip again as I thought. Of course she'll go back to the dress issue. Rarity noticed my apprehension as she said,
Darling, I know you don't have much taste for dresses and the ones you tried before wasn't to your taste, but I believe that scarf is proof that I am able to make a dress that you would just love to wear.
I locked my gaze on her for a moment before it drifted to the scarf, at which point I released a sigh before saying,
Fine, you have a point. You will most likely make a dress that I may like, but why you still want to make me a dress? I cannot afford to pay you back for... Darling, you don't have to worry your pretty little head about that matter. It is a pleasure of mine to be able to give such marvelous gifts to my friends, and any friend of my sister is a friend of mine.
Rarity said with a kind smile that I couldn't help but smile back to.
Thank you very much, Rarity. I may actually like to wear that dress then. Time to time though.
I replied as I rubbed a hoof against the back of my head as more of my masculinity slips away from me. What's the point of trying to hold on to it now? There's no hope that I'll be able to return to my original body at this point anyway.
I'm happy to hear that, dear. Now, I'll be taking my leave. The dress won't make itself after all.
Rarity said before giving me her goodbyes, which I returned with my own before I began to make my way to Sugar Cube Corner. As I made my way home, I reminisced on the pleasant memories I was making as I finally accepted that this world would truly be a nice place to call home. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this next episode of Distorted Fate, and if you did, hit that like button and subscribe, and here is your daily dose of brainwashing! Bye.